Welcome back. As we all know, perception drives economics. We saw the Rand rally after the ANC's top six were elected in Mangaung, and after lowering South Africa's standing as an investment destination in September, Moody's Investor Services released a more optimistic statement after the Mangaung conference, saying the policy platform of the African National Congress looks more investor and business friendly. However, another rating agency, Fitch, downgraded our credit rating in January, citing social and political tensions, corruption, declining competitiveness and policy uncertainty. Earlier today, I sat down with Bloomberg's Andreas Martinez for a breakdown of market reaction to Ramaphosa's ascension in December and what investors are thinking and saying right now. Bloomberg is a financial services news and media company used by investors from around the world to make daily business decisions. But first, let's hear from ENCA's foreign correspondents about reaction to Ramaphosa's rise in their regions.
I'm John Bailey at Tiananmen Square, Beijing, the most iconic national symbol in China. Here, Cyril Ramaphosa's track record in the ANC is highly regarded by the Communist Party of China. So too his business acumen. Last year, state-owned China Investment Corporation, the country's sovereign wealth fund, bought a 25% stake in Ramaphosa's Sanduka Group, valued at 2 billion rand. At the time, it was said to be the fund's first investment ever in Africa. The fact that the Chinese government has shares and sits on the board of a company owned by a South African president in waiting is a huge advantage for China. Kusatu Zwelinzima Bavi has already raised concerns about possible conflicts of interest at home. But for Ramaphosa, potential conflict exists far beyond South Africa's borders.
I'm Robin Creel in Nairobi, Kenya, where one of our major national newspapers, the very popular and privately owned Daily Nation, dedicated a whole page to the ANC's election outcome in December. And as you can see here, Cyril Ramaphosa got a full-page tribute hailed as SA's next leader. But down here in the corner, just a small box dedicated to Zuma, which focuses mainly on why the Daily Nation thinks Zuma is now not so popular, specifically mentioning the Marikana tragedy in South Africa.
I am Hopewell Chingono in Harare, Zimbabwe, where the head of state is not a great fan of Cyril Ramaphosa. President Mugabe once described Cyril Ramaphosa as a white man in a black man's skin. This is because Cyril Ramaphosa failed to stop his newspapers from criticizing President Mugabe's style of governance. On the other hand, the Prime Minister of this country, Morgan Tsvangirai, is a great admirer of Cyril Ramaphosa. He even tried to get him on board to help him with negotiations, which led to the birth of the current unity government here in Zimbabwe. So Cyril Ramaphosa's new position in the ANC might signal tougher days ahead for the old order here in Zimbabwe. But for those criticizing and opposing President Mugabe, they expect to benefit from Cyril Ramaphosa's reputation as an even-handed negotiator as South Africa continues to mediate the Zimbabwean political crisis.
First, it was his strong links with the unions, and then corruption allegations. And now it's his reputation as an indecisive leader that continues to make local and international business wary of President Jacob Zuma. On the other hand, Cyril Ramaphosa's international profile as an astute negotiator and businessman is seen by some investors as a potential remedy for South Africa's ailing economy. But how much does the man at the helm affect foreign investment? Bloomberg's Andreas Martinez explains.
Well, you definitely have a situation regarding Mandela when he came to power where there's a certain optimism. You have an economy that's been closed off for a couple of decades and foreign direct investment has dropped. And so when there's democratic change, a new constitution, investors perceive more certainty, less risk. You begin to see FDI, grow again. You also see overall growth, rise faster than it had for the 80s during sanctions. So at that time, there were a tremendous amount of opportunities, and it has a lot more to do with opportunities that are there than necessarily the person. During Mbeki's period as president, you do see some of the faster years of growth in the economy. It's pre-World Cup. And you begin seeing economists, analysts, investors discuss South Africa as this BRICS nation.
It's no secret that President Jacob Zuma does not enjoy the confidence and the support of business people, whether it's here in South Africa or around the world. But he has also presided over an economy that has been under a lot of global pressures. The euro crisis, global economic downturn in 2008, and China's growth slowing as well.
Well, there are some things that South Africa isn't different than any other African nation or any other emerging market nation, and it's the fact that they sell so many of their manufactured goods to Europe. So as long as Europe or the euro area nations enter a recession again like they did at the end of last year, you're going to have a reduced demand for the goods that South Africa sends. As long as China, which is one of the biggest buyers of mineral goods that South Africa exports, as long as their growth is slowing and isn't as fast as it has been the last 5 to 10 years, South Africa gets impacted, and there's not much South Africa can do. On the other hand, specifically in the last 7 or 8 months since Marikana, you've begun to see a lot of issues resurface, and they bring the main trouble points in South Africa to the forefront.
And then Cyril Ramaphosa is the elected deputy president of the African National Congress in December. What was the immediate reaction from the market?
So in the first 2 weeks, you did see investor risk, or the perception of risk for the nation relative to South Africa's peers, drop. You would hear economists and analysts repeatedly say he's the kind of person who knows how to make things happen in the country, how to get things to shift. So while you did have a lot of optimism, there are still a lot of questions that remain about how he will guide the policies of the ANC. I mean, you'll hear investors repeatedly say, well, how soon will he enter government? What kind of position will he have in government? There was optimism because of his experience, but now people are waiting to see exactly how does that translate to changes, if any, in the ANC, and how soon will he join the government, and what would he bring there?
And that's our show. I'm Nkepile Mabuse, and you've been watching Outside Eye. Please get in touch with us via Twitter or email, and join us next week for a global perspective on South Africa in 15 minutes.